Good morning and welcome to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips, president of the Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber of Commerce, and I am joined in studio by Derrick Hardin and Vinny Amore. We're going to be Italian today, Vinny, and we are talking banking and we are talking business here in Flagler County. And Derrick is with South State, Vinny is with Trustco Bank, and gentlemen, I appreciate you joining me today and look forward to chatting with you more.
Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
First, before we get into the business side of banking, let's learn about the personal side. Vinny, I know I'll let you go first. I know you. I know your background a little bit, having grown up here. But walk us through the short version of growing up and how you ended up where you are today.
Well, actually, interesting, and thank you again, JP, for having us on. I love coming to the studio. It's really cool. Well, yeah, I was my mom and I actually moved here when I was 8 years old back in 2001. Had the opportunity to go to Indian Trails K through 8 school before it was an actual middle school. For a lot of you new movers, it was about eight to nine different grades that used to be there. So before they were the Mustangs as well. So and then went to Matanzas High School. Graduated in 2011. Played baseball over there. Was an outfielder / pitcher, and some good memories there. Then went to Daytona State. Went to Fort Myers, Orlando, and I just miss living here. So we opened up a branch October of 2021 in Palm Coast. I managed downtown Orlando, the branch on Pine Street for a good 5 years. But that period came to an end because I missed the beach life, Northeast Florida, and to be honest with you, living in Palm Coast, it's a really beautiful neighborhood and really great place to, make friends and develop great connections, especially the ones that we have here. So, it's
true. Hometown kid comes home.
Yeah.
And glad to have you back here in Palm Coast.
Thanks, JP.
Yeah, and Derrick, your background, fire away. Tell us a little bit more about you.
So, native Floridian, if you will, born in Montana, moved here when I was 3. Grew up in Gainesville, Florida. And I did the whole kit and caboodle like Vinny there in Gainesville. If there's any Gainesville listeners out there, I did Wiles, Buchholz. I went to Santa Fe Community College when it was still a community college, which is a feeder school into the University of Florida.
Go Gators.
Yep, Go Gators. And graduated from there, got into the finance world, worked for credit unions for quite a bit, consumer side, which Vinny's very familiar with. And then in the last two and a half years, I ventured into the commercial side and have fallen in love with it. But I moved over here about 4 years ago, and then Palm Coast became my territory about 2 years ago. So just got immersed in this market. I love it here. It's a special place.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about South State Bank. And, the banking industry is very diverse. There are large national banks. There are small hometown banks. And there's a lot in between as well. Where does South State kind of fit in that in that whole mix of banks?
Yeah. So we would consider ourselves a regional bank. And we would consider ourselves in the medium-sized market. We're not your Chase's, Bank of America, the very large institutions, and we're not the community bank, but we still function at that level. We really want to bring that community feel. We invest. That's why we're here today, and why you can see me at a lot of events is we really care about the communities we serve. So we recently acquired a new bank, which actually kind of brought up our size. We were originally $45 billion in assets, and as of January 1st this year, we acquired Independent Bank out in Texas, and that brought us up to $65 billion in assets. We're still definitely in that medium range, but just happy to have those partners with us and happy to bring the South State experience to other areas.
How broad is the South State experience? You talk about acquiring a bank in Texas. Obviously, we're here in Central Florida.
Yeah.
Where does South State's branches? How far do you go?
Yeah. So we originated, our legacy bank is Center State Bank, which was based in the center of Florida. And we've grown since then, and we actually just served the Southeast until this recent acquisition. So we're Florida, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and then now Texas and Colorado. And the purpose of that was to make sure that we're in the emerging metropolitan markets, that we're positioning the bank in the best places to be to make us as healthy, stable, be able to serve as many people and just bring that experience again to those local communities.
Fantastic. And your specific role there at South State, you're on the commercial side. Obviously, I understand what that means, but to our listeners, what does that mean? How does that differentiate you from your other teammates there at South State? What is your focus as a commercial, part of the South State family?
So my technical role is commercial relationship manager, and that relationship manager piece of it is to be in the business community, whether you're a small business or a large corporation, whatever that looks like, for me to partner with them to figure out what banking needs are necessary for them, how we can help them grow, whatever plan and mission that they're on, we want to work alongside them. We're very relationship driven as part of the title. And so we want to build that strong relationship with the decision makers of each of those businesses. And whether you're making $5,000 a year or you're making $500 million a year, we want to make sure that you have what you need to be successful and that we can provide the advisory side of what the banking portion is. You might be a really great woodworker, but you probably aren't well versed in the commercial side of the banking part of your business. And so that's where that partnership is really important and what we can bring to the table.
I think especially in a community like Palm Coast and Flagler County, we have a lot of small businesses here. And you're right, whether you're a woodworker or a landscaper or whatever it might be, those people are great at their craft. The business side of the world might not be their strong suit. So having a small, focused, local relationship with the bank is really critical to their success.
Yes, and that actually ties into our core values. We might talk about this later, but one of our core values is local leadership and local leadership decision making, meaning that the people who are helping me, that are supporting me on the back end side, that help make the decisions for loans or deposits, whatever it might be, they sit in this market. They understand this market. Something that is important and that adds value to this community might not be visible to somebody who sits in South Carolina or Virginia, or wherever it might be.
Yeah, I think small local banking where you walk into the branch, which a lot of people don't even walk into a branch anymore. We've gone to this whole digital world of banking. But if you do walk into a branch, there's going to be people there that recognize you and know you and can help you with whatever your needs might be. I think that's probably one of your core values is small local relationships.
That's right. You walk in, the ladies know your name. They say hi. They ask how your family's doing.
Yeah.
We have great staff there. Maria Levine Sanudo is the branch manager there, and many people who are listening to this might know Gary Lubai. He was my mentor, and luckily South State brought me alongside him for quite a bit of time to be introduced to the community, to get a feel for where we were in the market, and for me to continue his legacy and create new opportunities for the bank.
Yep. I feel like I should know this, but the only branch I've been to is the one off of Palm Coast Parkway where your office is. Are there other South States right here in Flagler County, or is that the only?
That is
only
our
one?
main hub. That's the only one in Flagler County.
All right. Fair enough. Let's transition over to the Trustco side of the world. Vinny, I know your role currently is in the mortgage side of the world.
Correct.
But you do have a traditional banking background as well.
Yes.
So let's talk about where does Trustco fall in that large national to small local, group there?
Right. So right now, in comparison to where South State is right now, we're kind of we've been around for 123 years to this point. However, our assets are much more on the smaller side. I mean, we have probably about 12 million in assets right now, but we have 143 locations. We've clustered into New York. We're in the New York development. We have some in New Jersey, and we have about 53 locations in Florida right now. But again, a lot of them are very intimate. We have a lot of locations that are at the end of plazas, which again, just try to tie into that relational market. Derrick and I can both agree. We're all about the community, and that's the biggest thing. That's why we love where we work, right?
Exactly.
It's about that community involvement. It's about being involved, showing up to events and informing people and educating them, as well as being educated from our community on, we're not going to understand, just like Derrick was saying, like about woodwork, right, or carpentry, but we know what we're really good at. And I've been in the bank industry for about 8.5 years now. 6 of which were branch manager. And I just recently transitioned to the mortgage loan originating side. Again, for that very reason, I want to be able to show up to my closings and be there for our clients every single step of the way.
And I think that's something I think that the three of us definitely have in common. No matter what industry we work in, you guys obviously are in closer industries to one another than I am. But I think one thing I've learned in the relatively short time that we've all known each other, we all are about relationships. And I think your company, and what I do at the Chamber, that's a natural fit for us. And I think that's why we all do what we do.
Right.
And I think that's one of the benefits. It's why you came home. It's why you moved here to Palm Coast. And it's one of the reasons why I took the job that I took at the Chamber is opportunities for growth are tremendous here, but it's still got enough of a small town feel that we can have relationships with people. In the banking business or in the mortgage business, or in my case, in a lot of different businesses. But,
well, what's crazy is, because Derrick works on the commercial side and I work more on the residential side. Like a lot of things that, there are some things that like intertwine in our relationships. But at the same time, there's things that we learn from one another, and yeah.
I think that's one of the things I've picked up on. I'll let you guys maybe talk about it a little bit is technically some people might look at you as competitors because you're both in banking and you're at different institutions of banking. Right. But I've never felt that way whatsoever. Whether the fact that you're in mortgages and you're in commercial, I just feel like you guys both try to help one another. And most importantly, help the customers and the businesses here in our local community. Maybe just talk about that. How it's not a competition. It's how we can complement one another. At least that's what it seems like to me.
Well, JP, you bring up a good point. I think that we can use some buzzwords like market share, but what it really comes down to is banks have an appetite, and they might be really good at one thing and not as well versed in other areas. And I think that's where we can come together and be a community partner with other banks. We're not competing against each other because I might not be the best fit for what Vinny is really, really good at doing, or has a product that his bank is has a niche on that is really more advantageous for the clients. And so we want what's best for the people who live here. And for me to think that I can do everything better than every other bank here would be a shame. And so we want to be a community partner, being able to access other areas, especially in the finance world, that allow that customer to get what they need from the best institution that can offer what their specific need is. And I would say it's not just Trustco Bank, it's not just South State Bank. There's other banks here that provide services that I think the community needs, and I'm glad that they're here. So I don't know, Vinny, if you want to add to that.
Yeah. Just really quick. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because right now, I work more on the mortgage side. Trustco Bank is very heavy about their mortgages. We have a great mortgage product, right? But there are certain things that I cannot do, and things that, I'm not very well versed in. I have some knowledge on it, but essentially, Derrick has taught me a lot about the commercial side that I didn't know previously, right? Much hopefully vice versa there, So yeah, I mean, it's important because, again, it creates your value, and I don't know about you, Derrick, but, I've received multiple referrals from other institutions and, as much as given out because, again, you like, and trust the person that you're working with.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. This is the Chamber Business Report brought to you by Smart Technologies. I want to thank them for their support, Bob Doucette and all the good folks there at Smart Technologies. I'm John Phillips. I'm joined by Derrick Hardin, who is with South State Bank, and Vinny Amore, who is with Trustco Bank. And we are live here on WNZF. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back here on the Chamber Business Report. Welcome back to the Chamber Business Report. I'm John Phillips, president of the Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber of Commerce, joined in studio with Derrick Hardin from South State Bank, along with Vinny Amore from Trustco Bank. And we don't want to get too deep into the banking and mortgage world because things change so quickly. But I do want to give you a chance to talk about something that I'm familiar with. I'm really lucky right now. I don't currently have a mortgage because we've been in our house for so long that we are in a good spot.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
I know one of the things that Trustco is really proud of is your no PMI. So I'll give you a chance to talk about that because that's one of the selling points that you're really proud of.
Yeah, and JP, thank you so much for giving some time to talk about that because right now in the market that we're in, there are some buyers out there that are very hesitant, especially with the amount of money that they are spending, bringing to the table. One of the things that Trustco Bank really prides ourselves upon is our lending, and one of the things that's really great about our product is we actually lend up to 97% of the purchase price, which means you only have to come down with 3% down with no private mortgage insurance. Now again, that's based off qualified buyers, but essentially people that could get qualified, essentially that's saving them $100 to $300 a month in their mortgage payment. On top of that, we don't charge points, so that can also save anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 at closing. It's an option that's out there. It's one that a lot of realtors, brokers, builders, and especially buyers out there don't know that is able to be offered. And it's one of those things that does make a very big difference when trying to buy a home. So.
Oh yeah, 100%. I remember when my wife and I bought our first house. This is years and years ago, obviously. It used to be if you didn't have at least 20% down, that you had to pay the PMI, and that could be quite costly. Then you get into points and all sorts of other things. And again, that's why we don't want to get too deep into this because everybody's different. Every bank is different. Every person is different based on their credit score, and there are so many disclaimers that we would really mess things up.
Yes.
The most important thing I'll say is do your homework.
Yes.
Work closely with
Research.
someone who is knowledgeable in the field, whether that is with someone like Trustco Bank or at South State Bank. I know you do mortgages as well, or with your local real estate agent to make a referral. Most importantly, do your homework because there's a lot you can learn and a lot of potential savings. And again, it's all potential because there's 100 exceptions. Do your homework if you're in the market to buy a home or to refinance. And depending on when you bought your house, it might be a good time to refinance. It might not. Just depends.
Right.
So let's transition and talk about the community. One of the things we like to do on this show is obviously we're featuring, two banks here today, Trustco Bank, South State Bank, and want to talk about them, and we have. But I know both of you personally, and I know both of the companies that you work for are both very, very integrated in this community. And just want to give you a chance to talk about some of the things that South State does in our community, ways you help the community, and then Vinny will have the same question for you here once Derrick's finished.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. The community involvement is very important to South State. We want to give back to the community, and so there's a couple of key community members that you'll see us at frequently, but there is a multitude. It's almost too long of a list to go over here, but some things that are really close to our hearts is education. It's the future generation. It's the future workers. We want to retain as much talent as we can here. And so having a great education system is vital to that mission. And so the Education Foundation is someone we partner with and are proud of.
Yeah, and earlier this week, Teresa Rizzo and the Educational Foundation had their annual dinner, and I was there. You were there. I know Gary Lubai was there, along with some other South State folks. That's just one of the ways to help support our local community from education.
100%. And actually, Maria, our branch manager, was inducted as the next president this term for the Education Foundation. So she's very excited to continue the legacy of what they've done and kind of make her own mark on what they can do in the future. Some other really big community members is the Chamber itself. We find a lot of value in bringing what we can bring from a community standpoint to the Chamber members and are very heavily involved in being part of the Chamber. I myself, I'm the chair of the Ambassador Committee. And so Vinny is actually part of that. And we basically go out into the community. When you become a member, we welcome you. We want to be a resource. We want to connect you with key players that you see fit and connect you with the Chamber. The more involved you are, the more you're going to get out of it. And so the Chamber is really big to having a vital thriving community. And then there's a list of other nonprofits like the Habitat Humanity, Humane Society that we're involved with, and I personally am also part of the Rotary Club of Flagler County, which is a great organization. If you're a Rotarian, you know, and if you're not, come talk to me because it's a great organization.
That's right. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I appreciate both of you being part of the Chamber Ambassador Committee. We are a small but mighty staff of two at the Palm Coast Flagler Chamber, so we can't be everywhere to everyone, and so we couldn't do it without the support of volunteers like the two of you and others that are on our Ambassador Committee to go out and visit with new members or those that renewed their membership and thank them for being part of it. And ultimately, what we're all trying to do at the Chamber is connect business to business and business to the community.
Right.
And the community back to the business. I mean, it's a full circle that we're trying to do. We are not just about the businesses. We are about the residents because the residents are the businesses. They support the businesses and the businesses support the residents. And so we are trying to make that full circle complete. So, Vinny, I know you're involved in a lot of things in the local community. I know Tresco is as well.
Yes. And actually, to piggyback off of the chamber, I mean, it has been a great experience having you come in as the president. You've been incredible to getting all of us situated, bringing all these events in town, and it's been an honor to be at all of these different things that have getting the community involved is so important. And the chamber is really the bedrock of that. So, again, Derrick, I want to say thank you for running the ambassador meetings every single month, trying to make everything happen. And then JP for running this whole organization. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah, sometimes I want to touch on an event we had last week. And every chamber event is critically important. But we did one last week that I thought was really personal for you. We had the ribbon cutting at the brand new media center at Matanzas High School.
Yes.
And we got Matanzas High School graduate here. How cool was that to go back on campus? And I don't know how frequently you get by Matanzas High School, probably not very often, but to go back on campus, see some familiar faces. In fact, the principal that was there when you graduated,
Dr. Pryor,
was there that day. And to go through the ribbon cutting of this beautiful new media center. I mean, it was really cool for me as a community member. Had to be even better for you as an alumnus of Matanzas High.
Well, to hear, in the beginning, I'm glad to hear that their musicality is still prime top notch over there. They had
the steel drum band was outstanding that day.
Incredible. It still sounds if not better than when I went to college or when I went to high school. Sorry, I felt like I was in college sometimes. It was great, good times. But yeah, I mean, to see the growth at Matanzas, again, playing baseball there, there was, it was so different when we went. There wasn't, I mean, we had sponsors, but we didn't have the amount of support that in today's day and age is at Matanzas. Seeing like players' pictures, like where the tennis section was, like, when I was turning out, I was like, wow, that is so cool. And then of course the media center was incredible.
Yeah, what an amazing facility.
I mean, what you're offering to these students is something to where they know, or they may not know, but they'll have an idea as to what they want to do with their lives or their careers outside. When they do graduate high school, it's just a step in the right direction, and it was a beautiful facility, and it was really cool to see. There was a lot of designs, and the amount of people that showed up,
it was an amazing turnout. And we can't name all the folks who were responsible for it, but obviously leadership starts at the top with LaShawn Amore, our superintendent of schools, and the principal at Matanzas, and our school board members and others who all played a role in building that facility, getting the funding for that facility, and ultimately benefiting our students of today, tomorrow, and for years down the road. I mean, I was in awe when I walked in and saw the facility. It was like, there is nothing like this when I went to high school.
Right. If you have any high school kids that are going to be coming into high school, that is definitely a place to check out.
We are really fortunate here, and nothing against Flagler Palm Coast, because it is a beautiful facility as well. We've got two outstanding high schools here in Flagler County, and they do a great job, because I think you talked about workforce and developing the future. Education is the cornerstone of all that. That's where it starts, and our future workforce is in good hands here in Flagler County. Let me take another chance to talk about a big event that I know South State was involved in. A couple weeks back, we had the Songwriters Festival over at Daytona State. Was the opening night. Of course, they do an event at Hammock Beach and some other events, but for about 4 or 5 days long, Songwriters Festival. I know Gary's actively involved in that, but South State as well.
That's correct. Yeah, we're a proud sponsor. We want to bring the arts. I think Gary would be very proud of the talent that he's bringing here to expose the community to something that is really a storytelling experience where you really get to learn where the artists are coming from, why they wrote the songs, and it's truly incredible. If you want to sit on the edge of your seat with goosebumps all over your body because of the stories that they tell and the way that they sing their songs, it is truly, truly incredible. I encourage anybody to come out. But yeah, we're very proud. Gary himself is the one that started that, and he's continuing that legacy in his retirement, and we couldn't be more proud to partner.
Yeah, this was obviously for me, being brand new. I just started at the Chamber in March. This was my very first time to go to the Songwriters Festival. I really had no idea what I was walking into. Gary had given me plenty of descriptions about it, but I knew it was going to be really cool. It was even way better than I ever could have imagined, and a really cool community event. Again, over multiple days. Opening night was on a Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I think it closed out on Sunday. So 5 days.
5 days.
And they've already announced dates for next year. They're already selling tickets for next year. I did not do my homework and get the website, but if you just Google Palm Coast Songwriters Festival, I know for a fact you'll find it. So the 2026 dates are out there. They don't have all the artists yet, but it is a really cool event here in our community.
I will say that it's one of those things that you can tell somebody a million times what it's going to be like, and you will not know until you show up. So I encourage you, if you even think you might be semi-interested, come out. It will blow you away.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. A really good event, and a really good 4 or 5 days worth of. And like I say, it was at Hammock Beach. It was over. They did an event at the airport, at the restaurant there at the landing strip. I think that was on Sunday morning.
Yep.
And of course, the kickoff event was at the beautiful amphitheater there at Daytona State College here in Palm Coast.
And they raised funds for the Education Foundation that evening.
Absolutely. So a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Entertainment for the community, fundraising for the Educational Foundation, great opportunity for tourism and visitors to come in and stay and eat in our community and bring economic impact. It was a win-win for everybody involved. So thanks to Gary, South State Bank, and all the other sponsors that were involved in putting on the Palm Coast Songwriters Festival for 2025. And the 2026 version is right around the corner and going to be a great time here in Palm Coast. So Vinny, Derrick, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming by and talking a little bit about banking, a little bit about community, a little bit about music, a little bit about the Chamber. And again, thanks to Bob Doucette and Smart Technologies for sponsoring our show here. I'm John Phillips, president of the Palm Coast Flagler Regional Chamber of Commerce. This is the Chamber Business Report. Thanks for being with us today.